The hum of machines echoed quietly in the recovery chamber. Soft lights blinked across the walls, and the scent of sterilized air filled the room. The soldier slowly opened his eyes. His head felt heavy, and his body ached all over. At first, everything was blurry, just shadows and light. But then, things started coming into focus. He lay in a narrow bed, wrapped in a clean medical blanket. His chest was bandaged, and his right arm was covered in healing gel. A memory flashed in his mind, the final moments of battle. A burning sky, alien fighters, explosions, and then darkness. He groaned softly and tried to sit up. The pain made him pause, but he forced himself upright. That's when he noticed he wasn't alone. A figure stood quietly in the corner of the room. She looked like a woman, but not quite human. Her skin was pale with a soft purplish-blue hue. Her hair was long, a gentle silver color that shimmered without light. Her ears were small but pointed, like something out of a fairy tale. She wore a simple white robe and held her hands folded in front of her. Her head was slightly bowed. She took a step forward. "You are awake, human," she said, her voice calm and smooth. "I was told you would recover soon." The soldier blinked. "Who are you?" She lifted her head slowly. Her eyes, large and glowing softly, met his. "I am Syria. I have been given to you as your reward." The soldier stared. "My... what?" Syria lowered her eyes again. "Your people saved my colony from destruction. Our elders decided that one of us should serve the human who led the final charge. That was you." He shook his head, stunned. "Wait, you're saying they gave you to me? Like a prize?" She nodded. "Yes, I belong to you now. I am yours to command." He sat in silence for a moment, trying to process what he had just heard. "No, that's not right." Saria didn't speak. She simply stood there, perfectly still, waiting for him to speak again. The soldier took a breath and softened his voice. "Look, Saria, I didn't fight to own someone. I fought to protect your people, just like I would protect my own. You don't belong to anyone." Saria blinked. Her expression didn't change, but her hands trembled slightly. "If I am returned or rejected, they will believe I was not worthy. I will be punished. This is an honor among my kind. Please, do not send me back." His heart ached. She wasn't asking to be treated like property. She was asking not to be hurt. He could see it now. She was afraid. "All right," he said slowly. "Then you stay, but not as my reward, as my guest. You'll be safe here." Her lips parted just slightly, a flicker of confusion crossing her face. "Guest?" she repeated softly, as if tasting a new word. "Yes. You can stay here, rest, eat, move freely. I won't order you to do anything. You're free." Syria nodded slowly, though she didn't fully understand what free meant. Over the next few hours, nurses came and checked the soldier's vitals. They gave him medicine, adjusted his healing gel, and told him he would be up and walking in a day or two. He kept glancing at Syria. She never left the room. She stood beside the wall like a statue, always watching, always waiting. Later that night, he was finally able to stand and take a few steps with support. He reached for a bottle of water, but it slipped from his hand. Before it hit the floor, Syria moved quickly and caught it. She handed it to him without a word. "You don't have to do that," he said. "It is my role now," she replied simply. He sighed. "Well, in my world, guests don't serve their hosts. They rest, they recover, just like me." She tilted her head slightly, then gave a small nod. "Then I will learn." For the first time, he smiled a little. "That's a start." The next morning, the soldier woke to find a meal tray placed near his bed. Warm food, fresh fruit, and a drink. Saria stood nearby, silent as always. "Did you do this?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "I asked the kitchen for your preferred human recovery meal. I studied your dietary needs in the ship's records. He raised an eyebrow. You read my file? I wanted to be useful. He paused, then nodded. It's appreciated. Thank you. That small moment, just a tray of food, felt strange to him. Not because she brought it, but because she genuinely wanted to help. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. He decided to talk to her more, help her understand. Over the next few days, they spoke often. He explained what freedom meant on Earth. He described human values, respect, choice, kindness. She listened carefully, sometimes asking small questions, like, what is laughter? Or, why do humans eat together instead of alone? Saria seemed surprised by many simple things, how humans greeted each other, how they asked permission, how they said, thank you. You never had a choice in your life, did you? The soldier asked her one evening. Saria looked at her hands. My people live by tradition. We serve the tribe. We are trained to accept our fate, not question it. That's not living, he said gently. She looked at him. Then what is? He smiled. Living is when you get to decide who you are. That night, she sat beside his bed, not standing, not waiting, but quietly watching the stars through the window. She didn't speak. But for the first time, she seemed calm. The next morning, things changed. A message arrived from the alien delegation who had given Saria away. They wanted to visit. A ritual visit, they called it, to make sure she had been properly accepted, and that the bond between soldier and servant was strong. The soldier frowned. They're coming here? Yes, said the nurse. They expect a formal greeting, and they expect to see her obeying your commands. The soldier looked at Saria. Her face was pale. She seemed afraid again. He stood, though he was still healing. No, I won't pretend she's mine, and I won't lie to anyone. Saria whispered, if you reject their tradition, you may insult them. There could be consequences. Then we'll face them together, he said, but I won't treat you like property. I don't care what they expect. Saria looked at him wide-eyed. Then slowly her lips curved into the tiniest smile. For the first time since meeting him, she felt something strange and warm. Hope. 2 days later, the ship's atmosphere grew tense. The alien delegation that gifted Saria was about to arrive. Preparations were being made in the diplomatic bay, and several crew members whispered about it. Rumors moved quickly. The alien girl is his servant. He's the one who doesn't accept her. It's going to be awkward. The human soldier stood near the window in the observation room. Saria sat quietly nearby, her hands resting on her lap. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable, but it was filled with questions. Are you ready? He asked gently. Saria looked at him, her expression unreadable. No, but I must be. He turned to face her. You don't have to do anything. You don't want, not today, not ever. She gave a small nod, though her shoulders stayed stiff. You still do not understand my people. They will be confused. Angry, maybe. They believe what they gave you was valuable, that I am a high gift, a symbol. And I believe you're a person, he said calmly. They'll have to understand that. Saria looked down. They might not want to. When the delegation arrived, the energy changed. 4 alien elders entered the diplomatic chamber, dressed in ceremonial robes with glowing patterns. Their faces were calm, but proud. Behind them stood 2 guards and a female interpreter who bowed deeply. The soldier stood tall, dressed in his clean uniform. Saria stood beside him, not behind him, not lower, equal. The lead elder stepped forward. We greet the hero of the final battle, he said, using a translator. And we thank you for accepting the gift of our finest. Is she serving you well? The soldier didn't hesitate. She is safe. She is learning. And she is free. A pause followed. One of the elders frowned slightly. Free? You misunderstand. Her duty is to honor you. This is our ancient law. With respect, the soldier said firmly. Humans don't take people as gifts. That's not how we show honor. I treat her as my guest, not my property. The elders looked at each other. Whispers passed between them. Syria remained still, but her fingers were clenched at her side. Another elder asked, Is she refusing to serve? That would bring shame upon our house. No, Syria answered softly, stepping forward. I have not refused anything. I have been treated with kindness, more kindness than I ever knew. They turned to her. Then why do you stand beside him like an equal? Why do you not kneel? Because he told me I don't have to, she replied. Because he sees me as a person, not an offering. The oldest elder frowned. Then you have forgotten your place. No, she said, voice trembling but strong. I have discovered it. The meeting ended tensely. The elders left, not with anger, but with confusion. Their traditions had been challenged, their ways questioned. And the woman they once called Gift now spoke like someone who had found her voice. Back in their quarters, the soldier handed Syria a warm drink. You were brave today. She looked down at the cup. I was afraid. Still brave, he said, smiling. She took a small sip. Her hands stopped shaking. Later that evening, they sat across from each other at the small table. Syria finally spoke what had been in her heart. In my world, she said, we are raised with rules. You are chosen to be a healer, a warrior, a servant. You do not decide. You are told. When they selected me to be given away, I didn't feel sad. I felt empty. He nodded slowly. You accepted it because that's all you knew. Yes, she said. But you showed me something else, a different way. At first, I didn't understand it. I still don't. But I want to. He leaned back in his chair. You don't have to become human, Syria. You can be yourself. That's the point. She tilted her head slightly. What if I don't know who I am yet? He smiled gently. Then we figure it out. Together. The next day, the crew began noticing changes. Syria walked freely through the corridors, no longer hiding behind walls. She asked questions. She watched how humans treated each other, with respect, with humor, with shared laughter. One morning, she helped in the medbay, offering calm words to an injured soldier. Another time, she corrected a food technician's mistake in an alien dietary file. Her mind was sharp. She was no servant. She was something else. Soon, others started noticing her too. Some admired her courage, but others whispered. A few crew members made jokes behind the soldier's back. Looks like he's got himself a personal assistant. Guess saving planets comes with perks. One even laughed. Is she his girlfriend now? The soldier heard some of them. He didn't laugh. He didn't respond. But Syria saw the way his eyes darkened. That night, she said quietly, People talk. They don't understand, he replied. Do you care what they say? He looked at her, serious. I care that they don't treat you with respect, but I don't care about their gossip. What we know is what matters. She nodded. Still, it hurts. He gently placed a hand over hers on the table. You're not alone. Syria, not anymore. Days later, the soldier was called to a meeting with the ship's leadership. The captain, 2 officers, and a diplomatic advisor were there. Syria waited outside. We've received word from the alien elders, the captain said. They're requesting her return. They say she has dishonored their custom. She hasn't dishonored anything, the soldier said firmly. She stood up for herself. That takes strength. Perhaps, the advisor replied, but this could become a political issue. If they feel insulted, we risk losing an ally. And our soldier leaned forward. Then we need to show them we don't believe in owning people. We don't force anyone into service. Isn't that what humanity stands for? The room was quiet for a moment. Finally, the captain spoke. We'll delay our response. But understand this, if tensions rise, we may be forced to make hard decisions. The soldier stood. Then make the right one. That evening he told Saria everything. She didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She simply said, "If they make you send me away, I will not go back to them." He looked at her in surprise. "Then where will you go?" She looked at him. "Where I'm free." That night she dreamed of home. Not as it was, but as it could be. A place where no one was given away. A place where girls weren't raised to kneel, but to walk tall. And when she woke the next morning, her eyes were clearer than ever before. Syria stood in the training hall, quietly watching two human officers spar with wooden staffs. She wasn't part of the class, but the instructor had welcomed her to observe. She liked watching them move, fast, focused, and free. One of the female cadets smiled at her and offered a short wave. Syria returned it, shy but polite. It felt peaceful. Until the doors opened. The soldier entered the hall, but his face was tense. Something was wrong. He walked straight to her, his steps heavy, his eyes unreadable. "Come with me," he said softly. She followed without a word. Once inside his quarters, he sat down, rubbing the back of his neck. "I received another message. From their council. They've decided." Syria's breath caught. "Are they demanding my return?" He nodded. "Yes. They say this has gone on long enough. They believe you're being corrupted by human ideas." "I see. They also said if we don't return you, they might reconsider their peace treaty with Earth." Syria lowered her head, her heart sinking. "So they wish to use me as a tool for pressure." "It looks that way." Silence filled the room. Then, she looked up. "Will they take me by force?" "No," he said firmly. "I won't allow that. But if the humans refuse and a war starts," he shook his head, "we'll find a way. But I need you to know, I won't let them decide your life for you." Syria took a slow breath. "Then I will not return, even if they call me traitor." The next day, things changed around the ship. The news spread quickly. Most crew members didn't say anything, but some started whispering again about the alien girl, about her influence, about the soldier risking peace for a pet. One officer, a tall man named Holland, even made a rude comment during lunch. "You better keep that thing on a leash before she brings a whole war down on us." The soldier froze. He stood slowly, walked over to Holland, and said in a quiet but firm voice, "She is not a thing. Watch your words." Holland laughed. "Relax, she's just a souvenir. A pretty one, sure, but nothing more." Before the soldier could reply, Syria entered the room. She had heard everything. Her expression didn't change, but her eyes grew distant. She turned and walked out. That night she didn't eat. She sat near the window, hugging her knees. The soldier sat across from her. "Don't let their ignorance hurt you." "They think I'm weak," she whispered. "That I have no place here, no value." "They're wrong." She looked at him. "Then why does it still hurt so much?" He didn't have an easy answer, so he sat with her in silence. Sometimes, silence said more than words. Later that week, a group of alien diplomats arrived again on a smaller vessel. They weren't the elders. This time they were soldiers. Dressed in sleek armor, they stood tall and proud as they entered the station's hall. "We are here to take her back," one of them declared coldly. The captain, standing beside the human soldier, shook his head. "She's under our protection. She hasn't requested to leave. She doesn't need to request. She was chosen. Her duty is not done." "She has a voice," the soldier interrupted, "and she chooses to stay." One of the aliens turned toward Syria. "Then she has shamed our entire council." "I no longer follow your council," Syria said, her voice steady. "I am not a tool, not a gift. I am a being with thoughts and feelings." The aliens stared at her in silence. Then one hissed, "You were born to serve." Syria stepped forward. "And now I live to choose." The confrontation ended with tension. The alien soldiers left, but made it clear this wasn't over. Later, Syria sat with the ship's commander in a small meeting room. "I never meant to cause trouble," she said gently, "but I also cannot pretend I am still theirs." The commander nodded. "You've done nothing wrong, but this situation is delicate. You may be caught between two worlds. I've already chosen my path." He glanced at the human soldier who stood nearby. "Then we will support you." But not everyone agreed. That night, someone tried to open Syria's door. The alert system went off. The soldier rushed to her quarters, weapon drawn. No one was hurt, but someone had scratched words into her door. "Go home, alien." She stared at the message for a long time. Her lips were tight, her eyes tired. The soldier touched her shoulder gently. "I'll find out who did this," he promised. She turned to him, voice quiet. "They don't want me here." "I do." She blinked slowly. "Then I will stay. Not because I'm welcome, but because I deserve to be." The following morning, the soldier requested something bold, a public meeting. He asked the captain for permission to speak before the crew. Surprisingly, the captain agreed. In the ship's main hall, dozens of officers and workers gathered. Syria stood beside the soldier, her head held high. He stepped forward and began. "Many of you know Syria. Some of you whisper about her. Some judge her without speaking to her. And some even try to scare her." There were murmurs in the crowd. "I want you all to understand something. She is not here because she was given to me. She's here because she chose to stay. She is kind. She is intelligent. And she has taught me more about strength than any war I've fought." Syria stepped forward next. "In my world, I was told to serve, to follow. But here, I have learned another way. A way where kindness is not weakness, where freedom is not dangerous. I ask for nothing but the right to exist without fear." There was silence. Then a single hand clapped, followed by another, and slowly the room filled with respectful applause. That evening, Syria smiled softly for the first time in days. "They clapped," she whispered, almost like she didn't believe. "If they saw you," the soldier said. "Not just your skin, not your past, you." She looked at him, and in that quiet, gentle moment, something changed inside her forever. The next few days felt calmer, almost peaceful. Syria walked through the ship's corridors without fear. She helped in the medical bay, studied human history in the data library, and even started learning to use human tools. People now greeted her politely, some even smiled. She and the soldier spent more time together. They talked often about Earth, about her world, and about what it meant to be free. They ate meals in the common area, and she slowly began to feel like she belonged. But peace, as always, didn't last. One night, the soldier was in the gym, practicing hand-to-hand drills. He returned to his quarters to find Syria gone. Her room was empty, no message, no sign of struggle, except the security camera feed had been wiped clean. His heart pounded. He rushed to the control room. "Where is she?" he asked the watch officer. The officer shook his head. "We don't know. There's no record of her leaving, but a small shuttle was launched 30 minutes ago, unauthorized." The soldier didn't wait. "Was it her?" "We can't tell." He stared at the screen, then clenched his fists. "I'm going after her." Within 20 minutes, he was in a scout ship, small, fast, built for short-range missions. He used the last known signal from the stolen shuttle and followed it across the stars. His ship moved quickly through the dark, narrow belt of asteroids that floated near a quiet moon. The location was far from any known trade route. A perfect place to hide something, or someone. After 2 hours of searching, he picked up a weak distress beacon. It was Syria's. He landed the scout ship in a rocky canyon on the moon's surface. The air was cold. The ground was gray and lifeless. He wore his armor and stepped out, holding a tracker in one hand. Her signal was close. He moved carefully, and then he saw the crashed shuttle. Smoke rose from one side. The hatch was damaged. He rushed forward. Inside, he found her chained to a metal wall. Her arms were bruised, her robe was torn, but her eyes were alert. "Syria," he shouted, her head snapped up. "You came." He didn't answer, he just moved fast, breaking the old alien chains with a cutting tool. As he worked, she whispered, "It was them, soldiers from my world. They took me, said I was shaming, our kind, said I had to be retaught." He helped her stand. "You're safe now." "No," she said, voice shaky. "They're still here, nearby." At that moment, movement came from the rocks. 3 alien warriors stepped out armed with blades and energy batons. "You should not have followed her, human," one said. The soldier placed Saria behind him. "I'm not leaving without her." "You stole what was given," the warrior said. "Now she will return or both of you fall." The soldier didn't answer with words. He moved. Fast. He dodged the first strike, grabbed the attacker's arm, twisted it hard, and slammed him into the ground. The second warrior swung, but the soldier ducked and delivered a hard punch to his chest. The third came from behind, but Saria shouted a warning. He spun just in time, blocking the baton with his arm, and pushed the attacker into the shuttle wall. Moments later, all 3 warriors lay groaning on the ground. The soldier turned to Saria. "Let's go." They ran through the rocks toward his ship. The canyon was narrow and the gravity was lower than Earth's. Saria struggled to keep up, but he stayed close, helping her when she stumbled. Finally, they reached the scout ship. The ramp opened and he helped her inside. As the engines roared to life, he looked back one last time, but no one followed. They launched into space, leaving the moon behind. Back on the ship, Saria was placed in the care of the medical team. Her injuries were not serious, but her spirit felt tired. She lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. The soldier sat beside her. "You risked everything," she said. "You're worth it." She closed her eyes. "They called me broken, said I had forgotten my purpose, but I never felt more alive than I did when I said no to them." "You chose your own path," he said. She looked at him. "And you didn't treat me like something to protect. You treated me like someone who mattered." He didn't speak for a moment, then he said, "Because you do." In the days that followed, something began to shift across the ship. The captain officially declared Saria a protected individual under human law. The alien diplomats were informed that she would not be returned. The message was clear. She is not property. Of course, there were consequences. Tensions rose with the alien council. Talks were paused. A few ships pulled out of the alliance. But Earth's leaders stood firm. Freedom was not negotiable. Saria, now free in both law and spirit, chose to stay aboard the ship. But she also chose something else: to act. She met with the diplomatic team, offering insights into her culture. She explained the deep roots of their traditions, the belief systems that shaped them, and how fear controlled them. "I don't want revenge," she said. "I want change, not just for me, but for others like me." The human diplomats listened. For the first time, someone who had once been voiceless was now speaking for the silenced. She began helping the humans design a new plan, one that respected cultural history but defended personal rights. The soldier watched her grow with pride. She was no longer the quiet figure in the corner. She stood tall now, with purpose. One evening, as the stars passed silently beyond the glass windows, Saria stood beside the soldier again. "I always wondered," she said softly. "Why did you accept me when everyone else would have turned away?" He thought for a moment. "Because no one should have to live a life chosen by someone else. We all deserve the chance to be who we are." She smiled gently. "Then I'm glad I met you, human." He smiled too. "I'm glad you stayed." They didn't need to say more, because in that quiet moment, they both knew. What began as a reward had become something far deeper. A connection built not on tradition, but on respect. A few weeks had passed. Saria now walked through the human starship like someone who truly belonged. She had a personal access badge, a working tablet in her hand, and a clear purpose in her heart. Every day she worked in the diplomatic department, helping the humans understand the old customs of her people. Her voice was calm but strong. Her suggestions were listened to. Her ideas were respected. The soldier often watched her from afar, quietly proud. He had never imagined that the quiet alien girl who once stood nervously in his room would become a symbol of change. One morning, the captain called both of them to the command hall. "There's going to be a council hearing," the captain said. "Earth's diplomats will be speaking, and they've asked Saria to join." "Me?" Saria blinked. "Why?" "Because you are living proof that our values matter. That freedom is not just a word but something real. You've shown courage. They want you to speak about your journey, your truth." Saria looked at the soldier, uncertain. "Do? You think I can do it?" He smiled gently. "I think no one else can do it better." The council hearing was held on the nearby neutral station, massive, shining, and filled with beings from many species. Flags from different worlds floated high, and soldiers stood watch across large metal doors. Inside the hall, Saria sat beside the human delegation. Across from them, her former people sat as well, stiff, proud, and silent. The same elders who had once offered her as a reward. The leader of the council, a tall figure from a different species, spoke first. "We are gathered here to address the disagreement between Earth and the Saravari people. At the center of this disagreement stands one individual, Saria, daughter of House Nire." There was silence as all eyes turned to her. Saria stood slowly. She wore a simple blue outfit. Not a robe, not a servant's cloth. Something new. Something her own. "I was born in a world where life is already decided for you," she began. "You do not choose your role. You are told. I was raised to obey, to accept, and to never question tradition." She paused, looking at the elders. "When I was given to the human soldier, I believed I had no choice, but he gave me something I never expected." She turned to the human side. "He gave me a choice." The hall remained quiet, but no one looked away. "I learned what it means to speak freely, to walk beside others without fear. I was no longer a gift. I was a person, and I will never forget the first time I was called by name, not title." One of the elders stood up. "You were meant to serve with honor." "And I did," Saria replied calmly, "but not by kneeling. I honored you by becoming more than what you allowed." Another voice spoke, this time from the human side. "We do not seek conflict, but we will not accept any practice that treats a person as property." The council leader looked thoughtful. "Thank you, Saria. We have heard both sides. We will consider what has been said and deliver a response soon." As Saria sat down, the soldier gave her a small nod. She had done it. The decision from the council came a few days later. It was simple but powerful. Every sentient being, regardless of origin, must have the right to choose their path. No individual may be forced into service without consent. The practice of rewarding people, even under the title of honor, is hereby discouraged by this council. It wasn't a punishment, but it was a message. Change had begun. Back on the ship, a small celebration was held in Saria's honor. It wasn't loud, it wasn't grand, just a warm dinner in the main hall with smiles, laughter, and peace. Crew members congratulated her. Some even apologized for their early judgment. The captain raised a toast. To new voices, and the courage to use them. Saria smiled. Her eyes searched the room until they found the one person who never left her side, the soldier. Later that evening, they sat together near the observation window, where the stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass. "You changed more than just your life," the soldier said. "You made history." Saria chuckled softly. "I only told the truth. That's harder than most people realize." She looked at him. "You gave me the strength to say it." He shrugged. "You already had the strength. I just reminded you." For a long time, neither of them spoke. The stars moved slowly, as if listening. Then Saria asked, "What happens now?" He leaned back. "Now, you live the life you want, wherever that takes you." She nodded. "And if I choose to stay here?" He looked at her, surprised. "You'd stay? On this ship?" I feel safe here, she said. I feel like myself here. I want to help more people. And I want to stay close to the person who believed in me when no one else did. He smiled softly. Then stay. Not because you have to, but because it's your choice. She smiled back. It is. Over the next months, Saria became a bridge between two worlds. She helped rewrite policies. She guided peace talks. She trained young diplomats, teaching them how to see past culture and into the heart of people. She was no longer the alien girl given as a gift. She was a voice for the voiceless, a symbol of quiet strength. And through it all, the soldier remained her friend. Her anchor, her reminder that sometimes one kind act can change a life, and sometimes it can change an entire galaxy. One night, as they walked through the quiet corridor of the ship, Saria looked up at the soldier. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Regret? What? Not accepting me the way they wanted you to? He shook his head. No, because I didn't want a reward. I wanted to do the right thing. She smiled gently. And you did. He chuckled. Actually, I think you ended up saving me. She raised an eyebrow. How? You reminded me what we're really fighting for. Not just safety, but dignity. Saria stopped walking. She turned to him, her voice soft but full of feeling. Then let's keep fighting for that. Together. He nodded. Together.